What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to take on a very interesting topic. The unknown genre that dominated 90s anime by the one, the only, Renaissance manga. Come, go on, watch the video, but don't forget to go like, subscribe, and, have some fun. Go also support the original video on the original channel. Okay, don't just use me as your one stop and then you forget about the guy. Come on, they deserve the love and support. He put a lot of work in this video. More than I'm putting in this reaction, by the way. Come on. Go show him your love. Go support him, alright? Alright. Now let's get this show on the road. I did my thing. Let's have a good one.
The 90s.
I'm curious about this. This is by Renaissance Manga, the unknown genre that dominated 90s anime. I'm kind of going into this guy blind, so you know what? We're just gonna do our thing. We're gonna go see, and we'll judge him together. Anyway, let's get right into it. Go support the original video and the original content creator. I'll see if this video gets me a sub for me or not. Ah, fuck. Okay. Anywho, let's do this.
Girls wearing low-rise, shiny pants with crop tops and Y2K glasses. Dave Matthews committing egregious musical sins. Megumi
Yes.
Hayashibata's vocal performances featured in literally every other anime. In the land of the sun's origin, strange developments were taking place in the world of science fiction.
God, I'll say this anytime I see like older anime, but I think the depth, especially like you see like an old sci-fi, there's just something either the way it's painted or again the way there's a depth given to
Sun's
how it
origin,
looks.
strange developments were taking place in the world of science fiction.
I mean, just look at this thing.
Having steeped for the past 3 decades in the best that the West had to offer insofar as the genre goes, Japan
Yeah.
was positively brimming with
Oh,
creativity
card
and
captors.
boundary-pushing ideas. Ghost in the Shell, Metal Gear Solid, Kaiketsu Jouki Tantedan.
Oh my God, Steam Detectives. You know what? I'm probably gonna try to hunt that show down. It's been a long time since um ah, I have so many shows like I want to cook up something for because I want to make original content and original videos, and I'm leaning more and more towards some of my old comfort animes that I grew up with. Well, in my formative years, I even grew up with, but stuff like Spiral, The Bonds of Reasoning, G Gundam, shit like that. You feel me? Hell, if I have the gumption and brain cells to do it, I'd do Invader Zim too. Fuck it. I just I just have a love for these shows that I have trouble expressing. Anyway, let's get back to it.
Taking the best of both East and West, throwing in a dash of cool Japan,
Wait, I come on. We need Tequila Gundam. I need it. I need it.
taking the best of both East and West,
Oh man, I I am sick and tired of whoever makes those statue Gundams not giving us Tequila Gundam. I want my Tequila Gundam. God damn it! I want them. It's such a cool design. The cactus arm, the serape, the sombrero, the Pancho Villa mustache, the green, the coloring. Like again, it leans into like a lot of stereotypes, but it does that for all their again from G Gundam, like it does that for all the countries. So and compared to some of the other ones, I do love this one, man. There's something about it.
throwing in a dash of cool Japan and the unabashed, ascendant golden age of otaku culture. The atmosphere was primed for a plethora of creative innovations by way of cultural clash. And indeed, nowhere did worlds collide, crumble, and fuse more than in the realm of late 90s sci-fi anime. Hello, I'm Nicholas, and this is Renaissance Manga. If deep dives into anime and manga are your thing, feel free to subscribe. I've got more essays coming down the pipe for all you manga heads out there. Today,
Alright.
we will be taking a deep headfirst dive into three behemoths of anime culture: Trigun, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and Final Fantasy VII.
I'm gonna be real with you guys. I have never sat down and watched Evangelion. Not the old series and not the new one. I don't know, everyone always tells me like they're must watches and much. I've tried reading the manga, I just couldn't get into it. I've tried watching it once or twice before. I I just could not vibe with Evangelion. Even at no matter the how do I put it? When they're different like between manga and anime, like a different no matter the medium. No matter what the medium was, no matter what time period, I just couldn't get into it, even in my early days. Well, when I was watching a bunch of manga like left, right, and center. I don't know.
And before you say anything, Cloud spends a good majority of the game being pined after by two beauties, one a saint-like, fiercely loyal airhead, the other a spunky, buxom Osanajimi who loves him unconditionally, and all the while Cloud looks on in blissful, main character syndrome-fueled ignorance. So yes, Final Fantasy VII is anime. But I digress. In my enjoyment, experience of, and immersion in the great Japanese medium, I have made many connections, drawn many a conclusion, and yes, speculated.
Old school Full Metal. Wait, I want to see some of the things
I
you're
have
showing.
made many connections, drawn many a conclusion, and yes, speculated.
Oh, okay.
Who among us hasn't? In these workouts of my media literacy muscles, every so often an idea comes to mind. A thread is discovered that haunts my waking dreams. This is one of those threads. When watching anime, particularly the more speculative ones the medium has to offer, we might find ourselves asking deep, important philosophical questions. Questions such as, can we ever truly know ourselves? Or perhaps, is the cost of peace worth the price paid in blood? So when, after indulging in a nostalgia binge of the Japanese anime of my youth, I sat staring at the screen, having just finished Neon Genesis Evangelion for the umpteenth time, a profound question did strike. Man, what's the deal with all the angels in 90s anime? Well, I found an answer to this question, and it just so happens to involve Japanese economics, cyberpunk transhumanism, and Gnostic Christian mythos. If that sounds interesting, which I promise it will be, then come on this journey as we explore this niche anime subgenre I have dubbed Angel Punk. To begin, we must first take a brief snapshot of the decade that preceded our vaunted 90s.
80s. You know what? Even though this wasn't really my era, I just have a love for it. I got a soft spot for it.
Otaku culture in Japan had
It's like having love for your grandparents. You know, like shit your grandparents watched, where you're just like, you know what? I'm not gonna always come back to it, but I respect it. It's got a place in my withered heart.
nowhere near reached the hyper-popular, algorithmically driven fever pitch that contemporary anime fandom experiences today. Looking back over the breadth of 40 years, indeed, anime culture was practically underground. We can imagine a prototypical Japanese otaku of the time. Perhaps a young man, bespectacled, afraid to talk to girls, clothed in baggy denim and flannel. He spends the extra cash he earns at his baito on anime, laserdiscs, and only the best audio-visual technology that Sony Electronics had to offer. This young man would be positively obsessed with the finer vintages of animation, genre film, and cutting-edge technology. And the people serving him such vintages, that is, the creators themselves, would have been equally obsessed. I mean, it wasn't uncommon for studios to staff their productions with dedicated mechanical animation directors, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
If I were a betting man, which you can rest assured I'm not, I would wager that this nerdy Japanese youth's drink of choice, as it were, would have been science fiction. Yes, if you look at the popular anime of the time, sci-fi dominated. Mobile Suit Gundam, The Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Super Dimension Fortress Macross, Ai Oboitemasu ka? And it only makes sense, considering the quantity and quality of the genre Japan and the world had been exposed to up until then. There is no
Yeah, looking at some of the old, the shows that were made in the past, I can see that. I definitely like there were a lot more science fiction, cyberpunk. If they weren't like space operas, they were like cyberpunk, like futuristic robots and shit like that. Okay, I see where they're
doubt
coming
in my
from,
mind
where he's
that
going with this.
countless young Japanese youths waited with as much bated breath as my father did for the premiere of Return of the Jedi. In the 80s, sci-fi was booming, and Japan was no exception. In this climate was born the best known of all the punk genres, cyberpunk. A beautiful, made-in-heaven match of high-concept science fiction and gritty, real-world lower-class struggle. The cyberpunk genre painted a picture of the future as bleak then as it is almost laughably naive to our now jaundiced 2025 eyes. This fusion of cyber and punk invites a juxtaposition between the poor underbelly of society and high technology, enhancing the hyperreal feeling of class stratification. Staples of the genre include William Gibson's Neuromancer, Akira, and Kokaku Kidotai. And perhaps the most well-known aesthetic language associated with cyberpunk is cybernetic implants, the combination of machine and man. Now, while cyberpunk certainly cannot claim a monopoly on the concept, nor first-mover advantage, it did much to further the feeling of realism and ground the audience in what actually being part human, part machine would really be like. One can draw direct lineage in the brutal scars of Vash's medical implants, or the disturbing experiments of Hojo from this genre convention. For lack of a more elegant
Wait, what's Hojo from? I kind of wish you gave me a fucking title there.
explanation, I think the main innovation and draw of cyberpunk was that it truly makes you feel, hey, I could be part robot, and then forces you to explore every implication of what such a reality would mean. It is in this environment of sci-fi mega-hit barrages launched directly from Hollywood, of Bubble Jedi-fueled extravagant anime masterpieces, and otaku micro-targeted OVAs dripping with mechanical sakuga, that I believe Angel Punk was born. But it was not born soundly into this good world, and if it had been, well, I doubt we would recognize it.
The Lost Decade.
The advent of the 90s saw major economic downturn in the land of the rising sun. The Bubble Jedi having quite spectacularly burst, and the specter of declining fertility on the horizon, Japan would enter a period of cultural malaise known as the Lost Decade. A far cry from the giddy opulence of the 80s, this decade that stood at the cutting edge of the internet age had a decidedly more indie, handheld vibe. Punk, even. Indeed, we often forget that many of the cyberpunk classics we adore to this day came not from the heyday of the 80s, but from the early 90s denouement that followed. And from this denouement...
So it's basically the hope that the 80s brought and how it was unfulfilled in the 90s, and just having to build on top of a hope in a hopeless generation kind of thing. Interesting. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk my way into trying to see where he's trying to go with all of it, like as far as the grander themes of the video he's trying to make.
emerged a manga that would eventually become a titan of the entire medium. Trigun's humble beginnings started in 1995, publishing in mid-level manga magazine Monthly Shonen Captain, before switching to more popular Young King Hours after a soft reboot as Trigun Maximum. Later, the series would gain international acclaim.
Wonder what that original run was like.
After a surge in popularity following its 1998 anime adaptation. The plot of Trigun follows Vash the Stampede, a mysterious gun-wielding pacifist who wanders a desert world. In classic 90s anime fashion, he is forced to combat a succession of increasingly deadly foes, all orchestrated by his nefarious brother Knives. There is
Nice.
much to be said about this space western masterpiece, but today, let us hone in on the more esoteric aspects of Trigun's world. In terms of backstory, Trigun's origins are downright biblical. Due to the Luciferian betrayal of Knives, Vash sees his idyllic world upon the Seed's colony ship destroyed, as humanity is wrenched from the heavens and brought crashing down to a hostile wasteland. A veritable paradise lost. And the imagery. Trigun, more than any of the other works we will discuss today, has more Christian imagery than St. Peter's Basilica.
What's funny is there's a lot of Christian iconography in Trigun in general. Like I'm sure you're gonna get into it, but it's just something again growing up in the church, I noticed from the way Wolfwood is literally carrying around a cross, the angel iconography for Vash, like all the things like I heard like I've read some rumors, and I don't know if they were ever confirmed that the author was starting to convert to Christianity at the time, and that's kind of why the themes came up where they did. I don't know about the truth and all that, but like I don't know, he found something though, like at least deeper than just symbolism, I think, because he used them correctly, I should say. I don't know, it's okay. I'm gonna get a little real with you. A lot of the Japanese media, anime in particular, that use like angel and Christian iconography don't usually use them correctly. And the where again where I we watched a video about it before with Bennett the Sage and Angel Sanctuary. We were just kind of using them because it's a very exotic religion. There's a lot of stories behind it, almost like the way we use Greeks in today's, like, in the American context. And that's kind of how they approach Christianity. There's a lot of stories and iconography behind it. But then there's some, and Evangelion. A lot of people see a lot of like again the iconography behind it, like the fact that when the angels kill themselves, they turn into giant crosses. There's a lot of like angels and crucifixion stuff. However, when the director for the anime spoke about Evangelion, he had admitted that it was never meant to be sold to a Western audience, and if it was, they would have rethought using, again, the Christian iconography because there was no thought put behind it beyond the fact that they look cool. Is what I forget it was the director, or the author himself, but yeah, which is a lot of people don't want to. Maybe that changed along the way where eventually he fitted. So again, like like as the series grew, so did the his usage of it kind of grew with it. I don't know, just something to think about. Anyway, let's get back to the video because I was rambling a lot about religion there.
Okay, perhaps that's an overstatement, but it's literally littered with them. Crosses dot the desert landscape, power generators that appear to be angels. Wolfwood is a freaking priest. But what does this abundant Christian imagery mean? To figure that out, we must first dip our toes into the ancient world of Gnosticism. Gnosticism is a term used to describe a group of early Christian sects whose heyday lasted primarily in the 2nd century AD. It ascribes a set of common beliefs and mystic philosophies. These beliefs are complex and difficult to grasp, deliberately so as you will see, but I shall endeavor to illuminate them. Now, I hear you falling asleep over there. This will be interesting, I promise. The Gnostic worldview hinged upon the concept of the Demiurge. Demiurgos for you ancient Greek heads out there. A false, sinister god who holds reign over the material world. Sound familiar? This god is presented in contrast with the higher, true god of the spiritual or metaphysical world, Sophia. One of the central themes of Gnostic texts is the revelation of hidden knowledge in order to perceive the true, corrupt nature of the physical world and the false promise of the Demiurge. This enlightenment would allow one to realize their own innate God spark and the truth of the higher metaphysical plane. Now back to anime. No, but seriously, think.
Okay, I knew Gnosticism by name. I didn't know that those were their tenets, I suppose. Okay. That's, I guess for early Christianity, that it would be a lot more of a spiritual thing. Huh. I guess I just don't know how that would relate to Christian, like where Sophia, I believe her name, like, wisdom. Like, I'm just gonna say that. Like, where she comes in to play as far as either in Genesis or in Revelations. I just have no, I don't remember.
For a moment. In Trigun, Vash is literally a godly, Christ-like figure. He is both kin to humans and beyond them. Figuratively, he has already reached enlightenment and thus fits well with.
That's not to say that again that she never existed in either text or I for someone that plays this pivotal part, especially in the Gnostic belief, that again, that's from the way this is being presented, like is a offshoot of Christianity or one of the sects. I again, I just have no memory of it. I'm not saying like, oh, well, she was mentioned well, okay, she probably was, but for someone that plays that big of a role, is very it's fascinating to me. It's like religious history, and I view it as stories being passed around and theories and all that fun stuff.
Within the concept of the Savior, aka Jesus Christ. Now contrast this with Knives, who sees himself above humans and even convinces some to war with Vash against their own self-interest. Considering Knives' ultimate goal of outright genocide, he fits well within the concept of the demiurgic false god. Knives who, along with Vash, sprang from the self-same well of metaphysical power into our world. Interestingly, there is another Gnostic concept in this wacky space western that truly brings our angel punk genre together.
Yeah.
In Gnostic cosmology, Archons are angel-esque beings who preside over the material world and are bidden to the Demiurge. Think of them as cosmic level administrators, middle managers even. Can you see where I'm going with this? Yes, the plants of Trigun's world.
Wait, the demi. So, would death, pestilence, famine, and I want to say war, like, those angels be in that category? Or are we also talking the saints, like Michael, Saint Maria, Saints, like the carpentry? But anyway, but like, would they count as well? Because there's stories of them walking the earth again and then performing miracles for when people desperately needed it. Okay. I this I don't know if I want to do a deep dive on that or not. It sounds like a lot.
In the story, they are explicitly described as a quote, black box, an unknowable piece of technology so advanced they literally transcend the material world, producing miracles of both creation and destruction. Vash and Knives, who are kin to the plants, hold hidden innate knowledge of their workings, and are able to both quell their fury and awaken their destructive potential. Now, here is where Trigun differs from Gnostic ontology. The Archons of Trigun's world are not presented as necessarily malignant, but rather neutral beings who exist beyond mere appellations of good or evil. But you know what does adhere quite fittingly to the Gnostic worldview? Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh god damn
Yes, Ava's own Archons are certainly not as benign as Trigun's. For the uninitiated, Neon Genesis Evangelion follows troubled 14-year-old Shinji as he pilots a giant robot and fights otherworldly angels in a post-apocalyptic Tokyo. The series is a beautiful amalgamation of Gundam, slice of life, monster of the week Godzilla, and yes, deep Christian mythos and symbolism. What I would like to do is hone in on the backdrop, the thematic underpinnings of Hideaki Anno's masterpiece. No, not that one. In the story, Gendo, Shinji's father, secretly executes his master plan behind the scenes, culminating in a climactic apocalypse, in which all of humanity is transmogrified into a great primordial soup. This can be read as a Gnostic monad, the one true God, and perhaps even implies the merging of the material and spiritual worlds. In any case, the themes of hidden knowledge allowing for the revelation of truth about the sinister structures of the world are very much so present in the text, all couched in mystic Judeo-Christian symbology. Finally, let us move on to fantasy. Final Fantasy, that
Okay,
is.
I was about to say, like, oh man, that's okay.
7 in particular. Now, admittedly, Final Fantasy VII has far less Christian symbolism than Trigun or Eva, but it's still got an angel, one-winged though he may be. Final Fantasy VII follows Cloud and his ragtag gang of revolutionaries as they journey across their dying world, fighting the evil Shinra Corporation and the half-alien Sephiroth, in a desperate last-ditch attempt to heal the planet's lifestream and forfend Sephiroth's meteoric apocalypse. While Final Fantasy VII's narrative might not fit as well into the Gnostic paradigm I've painted, as well as the other works, there is still a thematic through line. The key is Sephiroth and Jenova. Jenova is a sinister alien life form that descended upon Final Fantasy VII's world in its ancient past, and promptly wiped out the ancient proto-human Cetra inhabitants with a deadly virus, leaving only a handful of survivors who were able to seal away the alien and prevent total apocalypse. Flash forward to the present-day story of FF7, and the parasitic Shinra Corporation, in their greed and lust for power, unearthed the ancient alien, and, along with the mad scientist Hojo, birthed the uncontrollable Sephiroth and his clones, setting the planet on a path towards annihilation. In the climax of the story, Sephiroth attempts to become a god by merging with the spiritual energy of the world itself, ascending to his one-winged angel form. Yet another false god for our heroes to overcome and dethrone. But it is here that we get to the crux of my argument, the cruel thesis of this affair. In the first 8 or so minutes of this video, I painted a picture of Japan. But that picture was a narrative, conventional wisdom, a collective cultural understanding of recent Japanese history. I painted this picture to explain how and why Japanese culture developed certain broad zeitgeist vibes, namely 80s high-tech opulence into 90s malaise, and how niche, genre-obsessed otaku auteurs manifested those vibes into hyper-specific mishmashes of various cultural and speculative fiction elements. In the case of Angel Punk, I saw a pairing of Christian angelic imagery and hard cyberpunk sci-fi, and a thematic through line of Gnostic mythos. Please, let me not mince words. The 3 works I've analyzed today all feature highly advanced technology and downright profane pairings of man and machine. In all 3 works, the angelic imagery is most prevalent in beings of vast, unknowable cosmic proportion, keeping in line with the Gnostic concept of archons. Yes, the heart of my angel punk genre lies in the theme of mankind through highly advanced technology and the fusing of mortal flesh with such technology, accessing a higher plane of existence and power beyond the scope of the mortal realm, yielding devastating, profane results. If only there were some...
A lot of these things also have in mind is people trying to play God when they really shouldn't be. Is also the thing that I get between Trigun, Final Fantasy VII, and Evangelion. It also reads as people playing God, and and that's not good.
Real-world example, perhaps involving Japan, in which mankind, in their hubris, went too far with technology and led to tragic, apocalyptic outcomes. But in the case of Angel Punk, these apocalyptic results are rendered via the aesthetics of white winged angelic imagery, immersed in the themes and lore of ancient Gnosticism, thus bridging the angel with the punk. Thanks for watching the second episode of Renaissance Manga. If you
Oh, this is I think the second episode. Second episode of probably like his video stuff. This was actually really interesting. I'll give him a fucking subscription.